Hi everyone, and welcome to Expert Edge, a thought leadership initiative by Quadrant Knowledge Solutions. So, it is a series of insightful conversations featuring prominent industry experts engaging in discussion with our experienced analysts. These fireside chats will delve into critical topics within the ICT domain, offering a valuable perspectives and fostering knowledge sharing. So, I am Akhilesh, an analyst at Quadrant Knowledge Solutions, and I'll be your moderator as well as speaker for today's discussion. So the today's discussion is focused on like how AI is revolutionizing the financial planning. As we all know that like the financial planning industry is undergoing a significant transformation because of adoption of artificial intelligence. So to explore this topic in depth, and we have two esteemed experts with us. So I would like to introduce Rishi Grover, co-founder and chief solution architect at Vena Solutions. Welcome, Rishi.
Hello. Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Yes. Next, we have our Divya Baranawal, our very own Vice President and Principal Analyst at Quadrant Knowledge Solutions. Welcome, Divya.
Hi, Akhilesh. Happy to be here.
Yes. So, to kick off the session, Rishi, can you talk about the overview of how AI is currently like being used in the financial planning and in the offices of finance?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, AI is becoming a lot more consumerized, both for everyday individuals for their day-to-day life, as well as across many different industries. When I take a look at financial planning specifically, there are a few different areas that companies are starting to invest more in AI and starting to use AI in their day-to-day operations for planning. I'd like to look at it in three main thematic areas. The first is around all things AI-powered visualizations. So when we think of dashboarding tools, visualization tools, BI tools that are out there, there's a lot of focus of technology of applying AI technology into those BI and dashboarding suites to create visualizations that look through large amounts of data and leverage that underlying AI technology to bring out insights. So that's one main area that I'm sure we're going to get into a bit more detail. The second is all things predictive forecasting. So that could be anywhere from basic to intermediate predictive forecasting to more advanced deep learning predictive forecasting using some pretty sophisticated machine learning algorithms. And of course, the objective there is taking large amounts of historical data and potentially external data to help predict out what a forecast could look like, and also applying lots of different types of user assumptions. So that's the other main category. And then thirdly is all things generative AI. So Gen AI or conversational AI on how to use these large language models. I'm sure all of us have heard of ChatGPT, but leveraging those large language models to create a very consumerized experience of leveraging human language that basically drives a lot of this AI technology to generate assets. So those are the three main areas that I see that AI is being applied for financial planning specifically.
Actually, Rishi, I would totally agree with you. And, we speak to tech vendors on a very regular basis. And what we see is that over the past decade, the way AI is being used in financial planning and analysis has tremendously gone up. These vendors, they are really trying to leverage AI in the best way possible so that they can enhance the efficiency, enhance the productivity and outcome of financial planning, tools. Like what we see is that definitely when it comes to, like you said, like, right, enhancing accuracy, efficiency, personalization, there is a high, we say, drive towards more personalization of financial services, the way you are able to interact, enhance customer experiences whenever they are working with you. So of course that is one of the things. Also, we see a very heavy usage of advanced technologies like predictive analytics and Gen AI. So again, on the amount of how they are able to ingest huge amount of data, make sense of those data, and give some very good recommendations. So all those things are areas where we are seeing a lot of work happening from the tech vendors community, and everyone is really focusing. Even if some of the vendors are definitely integrating Gen AI right now. For a lot of other vendors, it is definitely part of their roadmap. But definitely, we see that artificial intelligence playing a major role. What we also see is the way the infrastructure has changed, and the way the support for this artificial intelligence has changed. That is also driving the adoption of artificial intelligence, whether you
Mhm.
talk about cloud computing technologies, whether you talk about blockchain technologies or quantum computing. What essentially all these advancement is doing is that it is improving further the speed of AI model deployment, and thus increasing the potential to solve complex optimization problems at a much faster rate.
Yes, I truly agree with you, Divya. Like how the technologies like blockchain technology, cloud computing, quantum computing. So how these technologies are evolving and how it is revolutionizing the financial planning. So I truly agree. And like also Rishi mentioned the usage of like Chat GPT and LLM models. So in the in the FP and financial planning and analysis. So there are like many benefits by integrating by integrating AI in financial planning. So like if you talk about real time scenario planning, so AI is powered by real time scenario planning. Then also AI helps in automation of repetitive tasks by leveraging robotic process automation. Apart from that, like Divya mentioned, it helps in faster data processing, and it also helps in like enhancement of risk assessment by detecting anomalies. So I believe that like overall these technology advancements like collectively enable more accurate predictions, better risk management, and offer an highly personalized financial advice. So, moving further, with like Rishi, with technology advancements and increasingly dynamic business conditions being the major factor. So, what according to you, or like, what do you think how the offices of finance are using AI to plan more strategically and to improve the analysis as a whole?
Yeah, what's interesting, and to your point, Divya, is it's the technologies now like cloud computing that now offers so much horsepower to compute data that really before we did not have. So before I get into that question, if I look at what's changed over the past 5 to 10 years, the amount of data that is now available for the enterprise is significant. Financial data, operational data. There are so many SaaS companies out there that offer a very niche application, but all of that data is being accumulated. So now we have all of this data at our fingertips that never before did we have, but also now we have cloud computing where storage is not that expensive, processing power is not as expensive relative to how it was before, and we have that scalability of computing power. Because when we look at machine learning, it's not a brand new technology. That technology has been available for quite some time, but the data hasn't been there and the computing power hasn't been there. And now that those things are intersecting, and we take a look at ChatGPT that really created an AI application that every individual can use. And now there's so much attention putting on that's now being put on this AI technology. So it's so interesting how all these things are coming together at this point of time. And now there's a lot of focus on how do we make amazing applications out of this? Because now it's possible where before it was possible, but it was still more theoretical, or there was too many humps to actually make it practical day to day. So when I think about that and now how that's being applied in practical use cases for financial planning, um, the first thing that I mentioned, that first thematic area on AI powered visualizations, um, that has already been eased into leading BI technologies out there. And the other thing I love about AI is the end user a lot of times is using a technology and doesn't even know that AI is a technology behind the scenes that's driving certain insights or driving certain visualizations. And I think that's the key thing here with AI is um, AI should be solving a fundamental problem and not being used for the sake, oh, I should be using AI or I'm going to fall behind. There's a little bit of both those components. But when I look at AI-powered visualizations for predictive analytics, again, intersecting, there's just so much data available that for an individual human to go through this vast amounts of data, determine correlations across this data, dependencies across different data to then extract insights. There's just too much data and not enough human power to do that. That is practical. So now when I take a look at AI-powered visualizations within BI technology, now those technologies are bringing together all of these different data sources using machine learning algorithms. Again, behind the scenes, it's just operating and it's performing quite fast because it's now hosted on the cloud. So now I can right away start to extract insights from my information. It can look through large amounts of data, determine correlations of certain operational metrics that is driving certain financial metrics, and really making that visible to the end user in a digestible way. You also mentioned things like anomaly detection. For me to detect anomalies in my data, again, it's a vast amount of data. It's very hard for humans to really see that in a certain amount of time. If I had all the time in the world, of course I could do it. But so that's where I see predictive analytics happening. That helps identify anomalies in my data, helps kind of bring out insights into the data that otherwise I may not have seen. And when I drive out insights into that data, that can drive opportunity on, hey, is there a strategic opportunity for our organization to invest in an area that otherwise I may not have considered and gone down my business as usual path? So there's that strategic opportunity that comes out of these AI-powered predictive analytics. But also, as importantly, if not more importantly, is risk mitigation. Is there something in my data that is really identifying there's some risk that I need to pay attention to that, again, otherwise, if I didn't have the time and the computing power, I may not have seen that. And then next year in my business, I might realize the impact of that risk that I could have been proactive about. So I think that's a very real, very tangible use case. And again, this is something that's already been happening over the past few years, but now there's just more and more attention put to it. So developers and vendors are putting more energy into creating more practical applications. So that's around predictive analytics. And then the next big one is all things predictive forecasting. So that's me being able to take, large amounts of historical data and apply these machine learning algorithms against that so it can create many different predictive forecast scenarios. And then it's really up to organizations on how they want to leverage that. So in my personal experience for some of our customers, I've seen them use predictive machine learning algorithms to create multiple forecast scenarios, but they would still have their business unit leaders do their budgets and plans as they normally would. But then when everything is submitted, I can then compare, hey, how does all of my user generated forecasts compare to what the system predicted? And then I can go ahead and start to look at variances. And if I see a very high variance, that just directs my attention to understanding why is that variance. So it can really help focus my attention for higher productivity. Other customers, what they're doing is they're taking these predictive forecasts and they're seeding that to the companies starting the first draft of the budget. So everybody has a starting point, and then they can go in there, they can make adjustments and things like that. So I think there's also a kind of a phased approach here of being able to trust predictive forecast. And that's why I kind of laid out those two scenarios, because the first scenario is as I start to trust the numbers and it becomes more accurate over time, then I can start to use it as a baseline for my forecast. But initially, there's other use cases on how we can leverage that. And I know we'll talk about it later, but Gen AI is now the next new thing that's now being applied within the Office of Finance for financial planning. And I see lots of potential use cases for that as well.
Absolutely, Rishi, totally agree with you, and taking your point forward, we see that, the business conditions have tremendously changed, right? This
Mhm.
decade, we are seeing a lot of unpredictability in terms of the risks, in terms of the avenues, in terms of the challenges. So it is not humanly possible like it was earlier to do the financial planning and analysis that used to happen maybe 10, 15, 20 years before. So with that, dynamic nature of business today, I think every organization wants to stay at top when it comes to financial planning. And by using AI, definitely they are able to do such brilliant stuffs. The power of AI, we all know, the way it can ingest large amount of data, make sense, give you scenario planning, analysis, forecasting. Everything is just very mesmerizing from a point of view of an organization, and the power of what they can do. In terms of when we are interacting with the end user organizations, we see that there are numerous use cases in the way AI is being utilized in financial planning and analysis. And couple of instances you already mentioned, like how they are leveraging machine learning. We also see NLP technologies being used heavily,
Mhm.
so that analyzing historical data, understanding and interpreting any human language to identify patterns, predicting future trends. So all of these are definitely the top of the use case that's happening. Additionally, we see that robotic process automation is also catching up heavily in terms of automating repetitive tasks. Compliance reporting has become very easy. Also, it is reducing any risk with related to human in terms of financial operations that has been taken care of. Also, you touched upon generative AI and the way it is able to interact. Of course, we can't leave out ChatGPT out of it. But yeah, taking the
Mhm.
reference, the way it has made life easy for any financial analyst in terms of enhancing their experience through AI powered chatbots. We are also talking about virtual assistants that can provide 24/7 customer support, answer any type of financial related queries, and also offer financial advices. So all these things are definitely, we see picking up heavily and happening in the market today.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Divya.
Absolutely.
So yeah, adding on to like what you guys said, Rishi, yes, you rightly said that ML has been there for almost a couple of years, but now it is all revolving about what are the applications that we are building around ML by using the data. And also like Divya touched upon like AI powered chatbots and virtual assistants. Yes, it allows the vendors like to provide insights and recommendations to their clients like based upon their financial goals and behaviors. So with the ML and all this data gathering, it is pretty much possible. And also Vena has recently launched Vena Co-pilot, which is a personalized and generative AI powered design the AI powered assistants designed for like financial planning and analysis. So it is one of the like prominent use case that helps in data gathering, report generation, trend analysis, and like forecasting optimization. So these co-pilots and with the help of generative I believe like AI is really helping the institutions by ensuring like higher accuracy and consistency in the financial planning. And Rishi, would you like to add like few pointers about the Copilot, Vena Copilot?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what we did within Vena, our FP&A complete planning platform, is we have been co-innovating with Microsoft to effectively embed Azure AI services into the Vena platform. So that includes underlying technology like Azure OpenAI, Azure Cognitive Services, Azure Prompt Flow, and other AI technologies that allow you to build these practical use cases for your specific kind of target audience and in the target use cases. So that's what we did. We brought in that technology into Vena, made it enterprise ready with all things you would expect of data security and things that enterprise needs to know for them to use a lot of this AI technology and not have it access the public internet, share their data, everything within the privacy of their environment in Vena. And effectively, the way that we look at this is an extension of a company's FP&A team. So if we think about, an organization of all the different departments, marketing, sales, IT, HR, etc., when they're doing their budgeting, they're doing their reforecasting and things like that, or are really just making decisions about their business unit, there is a lot of collaboration that happens with the finance organization. And a lot of these individuals are always pinging the finance team, asking them questions about their data sets, helping them create reports, helping them understand correlations between data, helping them understand historical trends, seasonal patterns, helping them conduct a what if model. That what if I did invest over here? Can you work with me to help with that? And these are great things that the finance department does to help the organization. But also, the finance team is a very busy team. They work on a lot of very strategic projects with their C-levels on more company-wide initiatives. So the way I look at Vena Co-pilot is, again, that's an extension of the FP&A team, where it's a financial AI analyst. So this is basically a chatbot, if you will, in the Vena application, where any of these end users can ask any question they want about their business unit, about exactly what I mentioned, those types of questions. And we're leveraging that underlying Microsoft Azure AI technology that is connected to Vena's database that houses all of our customers' financial data, operational data across every business unit, so it can go ahead and start to answer those questions. And it's built in such a way where it has the persona, and we kind of got to this before, that you can make this a personalized experience, but it has a persona of a finance individual and answers questions as if it was in the voice of an FP&A professional. So at a high level, that's what Copilot is. And the big objective here is it helps all the business unit leaders with their productivity. They don't need to wait for finance to respond. They're very busy individuals. Sometimes it takes hours, sometimes it takes days. So now in minutes or seconds, I get these answers back. And it allows finance to spend more of their very valuable time on more strategic value add work for the organization.
Yes, Rishi, I completely agree. So, like, yeah, the Copilot definitely streamlines the entire workflow, and it also increases the optimization of the whole workflow by increasing the collaboration across the teams. So, yeah, overall, AI holds a significant importance in financial planning and analysis. So, like, this allows FP&A teams like to assess the business performance and make more informed decisions, right? So yeah, Copilot is one great practical use case of AI, like in the Office of Finance. So apart from Copilot, Rishi, how do you think like AI plays a crucial role in risk assessment?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about a bit about that before, that AI can help, especially predictive analytics, can help identify areas of opportunity and also identify areas of potential risk. And when looking at potential risk, if I look at a consumer application of this for a credit card company, and credit card companies, every transaction every person makes, this is a extremely large amount of data that has been accumulated. And when you have such a large amount of accumulation of this data, it can start to identify anomalies in trends of that. So if my credit card was stolen and someone else used it, that is something that is an anomaly in the data. And even if it's a small anomaly in that data, it can detect that because it has so much historical data. And then right away, as you know, you would get an alert, maybe it blocks your credit card, whatever that might be. And so now when we think about that in the application of financial planning, when I have all of this historical data, and we all have that historical data, it might not be in a format where all of it is brought together and normalized such that I can apply AI. And that in itself is something organizations do need to do, of bringing together disparate data sources and putting it together in a centralized data warehouse or something like that, or a financial planning application, and then apply AI technology on top of that. And when we do that, now I can start to see anomalies in my financial data. And then what it will do is it will, when I look at these AI-powered visualizations, it will bring forth to me that, hey, there is an anomaly in this data. And because it will quickly go through operational data, financial data, understand correlations of that based on all the historical data, it can start to identify, this is potentially why there's an anomaly, and here's somewhere where you should investigate. And it gives such an amazing user experience. And this is technology that is available today and can be used today. Um, so that I would say is one big use case. And then once it drives out, hey, here's an anomaly that I need to pay attention to, then we can also use AI technology to do things like what if scenario modeling. That, okay, great, I see an anomaly or an anomaly that could happen in the future because we're using forecasting software. What if we acted this way, or we decided to invest in the initiative that otherwise I would have done the next year? What if I brought it forward this year? And machine learning can help with creating these multiple different predictive forecast scenarios that model out different simulations of that. And then I can go ahead and I can start to ask questions about that using Gen AI or conversational AI. So those are some practical use cases on proactively seeing a potential risk and then quickly allowing me to act against that and evaluate simulations or evaluate different initiatives I can do to mitigate that risk. And when we talk about the co-pilots and kind of that whole idea, if I just use that as an analogy, is, the finance organization will always be the pilot, right? They're the one that is steering the plane. They're the ones that are making these decisions. But co-pilot in all these different avenues is their helper. So it's someone that assists them in identifying risk, identifying opportunities, but the pilot is still flying the plane, right? So they're using this toolbox of AI technology to make them much more productive and being able to, again, generate insights. And in this topic here is identify potential risk that I can mitigate by using this technology to help me, the pilot, actually conduct it.
Yeah, yes, Rishi, I totally agree. Like how AI is helping in mitigating the risk involved, and also how AI helps in like scenario planning. So with the help of AI, like you mentioned, user can create multiple use cases, multiple analysis with what if scenario, and understand the what is the potential or probable outcome under the different scenarios under different conditions, and then it helps them to understand helps them to understand the condition as per and focus on their investments accordingly. So
Mhm.
yeah, this helps overall in planning for various contingencies. So in this way, I agree how AI is mitigating the risk that is involved.
Interesting point, folks, because we all are discussing that how AI algorithms are actually backing whether it be co-pilots, predictions, or any forecast. But what I feel is that after a point of time, there is biasness in the results, and we kind of get the same results. So, Rishi, to you, my question is that how do you think when it comes to Office of Finance and when they have to address various issues, whether it be related to transparency in AI algorithms or whether it be related to biases. So, how are they tackling that?
Yeah, so there's 2 points there that I think is worthwhile talking, as you mentioned, is the biases and the transparency. Um, and also there is it's the evolution of applying AI technology within an organization. It really needs to be a crawl, walk, run, and not taking an AI technology and immediately making it available to everyone. There is also the human psyche element of, do I trust the results of this? And although technologists like ourselves, we do understand how it works and we do trust it, but there has to be that element of trust. And also with AI, the other great thing, and that's why it's called machine learning, is that it learns over time. There's a whole kind of reward algorithm here that as they get towards what you want it to do, it gets rewarded, and that's why it learns to be more optimized over time. But that requires a feedback kind of circle on what it's doing right and what it's doing wrong. So that's kind of the crawl aspect, that you want to fine tune it, and then you want to walk to get more people external of the Office of Finance, in our example here, that is now starting to interact with it and also giving the feedback. So it becomes more fine-tuned. And then you have the run in a case where now it's available to all your different users. But in that journey, we want to address the bias and we want to make sure we have that full visibility. So when we think about bias, and this is also what I believe Microsoft did extremely well with Microsoft AI services. As I mentioned, includes Azure OpenAI, includes their cognitive services, but also includes something called Azure Prompt Flow. And what Prompt Flow has been designed to do is remove biases and create a persona of what you're trying to address. So in our case for Vena Co-pilot, the persona is FP&A, financial planning and analysis. Where if I did not have that persona and I asked a question that I want to model out my Los Angeles something or something. Now, if I use ChatGPT as we all understand it, it would correlate model in Los Angeles with Hollywood that I want to be a model. What's the best way for me to do that? But when I apply the persona and the prompt flow for finance, it removes that kind of bias. And now it knows I want to do some kind of financial modeling for my LA entity. So those are some things like prompt flow that does really help remove those biases. But of course, it does need the right data set and the right metadata to actually do that on top of the prompt flow. So that's where the cleanliness of data, we've always heard the terms, bad data in, bad data out, but making sure that data itself is clean and accurate, because if it wasn't, it would create biases as well. So that's one aspect. And then the other one is full transparency. So if I took the example of Vena Co-pilot, which is conversational AI, so I might have lots of users that are asking questions, they're getting responses or asking follow-up questions. But in this whole process, they're giving thumbs up, they're giving thumbs down. That's my feedback loop. So me now as the FP&A professional, I should be able to track and have transparency to every question that's being asked. What were the answers given back? And what was the vote of that user? Was it accurate? Was it not accurate? And if not accurate, I need to have that visibility and transparency so I can fine tune the machine learning algorithm to say, hey, the next time this type of question is asked, this is how you need to answer it. And that whole process, what's also amazing about these large language models and Gen AI technology is it's amazing at building code using natural language. So in Vena Co-pilot, when you fine tune that question, saying next time answer it this way, I'm typing it out in natural language, in English. Next time this is asked, you need to, and I'm telling the system, you need to get the cost of sales out. You need to get this out, do this calculation and answer in this way. And it actually updates and generates code that I don't need to worry about. I don't need to be a data scientist, but I'm leveraging this cool technology to fine tune it because I have that transparency. So probably a long answer to that question, but those are examples of ways of leveraging technology and the quality of my data to remove biases and have that transparency that allows me to fine tune it so I can have an effective methodology of that crawl, walk, run, where run really is a utopia state where we'll see large amounts of productivity gains within an organization.
Yeah. So adding on to like what Rishi said, Divya, so it is very important to have complete visibility into any kind of business. So like Rishi used the word trust. So AI is surely gaining the trust of users in financial planning, like by providing data-driven decisions. Also, the use of explainable AI. So it is allowing users to understand like how decisions are being made, what are the factors that are being considered before making any particular decision. So I believe like that this transparency and the complete visibility helps the users to build trust, helps the vendors to build trust across the users.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So also Rishi, talking about a couple of success stories, like we have talked about, we have covered Gen AI, we have talked about LLM models, we have covered risk management. So if we talk, there are like numerous success stories. So can you share like a couple of success stories like where AI has significantly improved the financial planning or like the financial operations?
Yeah, there's one that comes to mind very quickly, which is one of Vena's customers. They're a large global pharmaceutical organization, and they leverage Vena for all of their product SKU level forecasting. And because they're an international organization, they have lots of different countries that have their product SKUs, and they effectively every month they perform a forecast on units sold by different customers, price per unit, things like that. So as you can imagine, they have like 40, 50,000 plus different SKUs. That is a large amount of potentially manual work that has to happen every single month. And what they have done, and they have taken a crawl, walk, run approach, and they've done that over a year or so. They're well into their run part of this of their methodology. But now what they do is every time they kick off the reforecasting cycle in Vena, which is done every month, we take all of the historical data up to a certain historical time period that we have decided that amount of historical data produces accurate enough predictions and can perform quickly. Because you could have tons of data to do predictions that could take a very long time, but there is that process of how much is too much. It might give me a 1% more accuracy, but in the grand scale of things, it's a forecast. Is that 1% more accurate worth the amount of time and processing time to produce that? So that we did have that whole exercise to determine what is the best amount of historical data. And looking out, this whole crawl walk experience was determining for their different countries and different product SKUs, what's the right machine learning algorithm to use or combination of algorithms. So we determined all of that to get them to a 94, I believe, percent accuracy rate. And that was all during the crawl walk where they did that with a handful of users and product SKUs. But now for every single product SKU, for every monthly reforecast, it produces a whole new forecast based upon all the historical data. And then when every user opens up their template for their products, it's already pre-filled with what the system predicted. But all the users have been using this methodology for so much time that psychologically they already trust the numbers. So they spend more time making adjustments and doing gut checks on what the system predicted, such that for their top Y% of their product performers, they put more energy into that, making sure the numbers make sense and doing adjustments. And for the bottom X%, they spend less time doing that. So by using machine learning for predictive forecasting, they have saved a significant amount of time. And what that really allows them to do now is have more time for better analytics of that information and making better business strategic decisions going forward. So lots of different examples like that, but I think that's a nice example of how it brings together all these elements and also addresses, trusting the data, making sure there's no data biases there, and crawling, walking, and then running, which is now across the whole organization.
Um, Absolutely, Rishi, totally agree with you because, when we are also interacting with end users, we see that there are so many success stories across different use cases of, how organizations are leveraging AI for, their benefit in financial planning. Also, if I have to, look at a horizon of 5 to 10 years down the line, I see that this role of AI will further be even more and more. There will be significant contribution that AI is going to have in the whole landscape of financial planning and analysis. I believe that organizations will increasingly leverage predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics to further improve financial forecasting, in order that they can anticipate better the market trends that is going to shape up. Also, in terms of identifying new revenue streams, you mentioned that during the start that is also one of the very good use cases where AI is able to find new revenue streams that
Mhm.
maybe it is not currently visible or under the radar of the organization, that it will do even more. Also, not only estimate the ongoing expenses, but also being able to predict more accurately future expenses. So all these areas, I think, will develop further and will gain more traction in the coming years. Also, I believe that with the help of predictive analytics, with the help of co-pilots, organizations will definitely evolve in their financial planning and analysis by offering AI-driven accounting, by offering proactive risk mitigation, which again you touched upon. Also, features like real-time auditing, more and more personalized and hyper personalized financial services. So, all these areas will definitely gain traction, I believe, in the coming 5 to 10 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, as Divya, you rightly talked about like how AI will be evolving in the coming 5 to 10 years, like taking the personalization. So personalization will be taking a huge leap in the coming 5 to 10 years, where with everyone everything will be hyper personalized to particular individual and offer them many advisors, financial advisors, and help them to make more informed and like strategic decisions. So yeah, and to Rishi, what according to you are like the emerging trends in AI applications for financial planning or in the office of finance?
Yeah, I think, if I come back to those three main categories, I think the AI power visualizations, I think a lot of us have used that, even if we don't know that we were using that. So I think that is a mature technology that will continue to mature in that path. Predictive forecasting, I believe that will also continue to mature, but I think that will just become a lot more consumerized, where right now there might be hurdles on it seems too technical for a finance person to actually conduct that without the help of data scientists, which in some cases might be true, but that is becoming much more consumable for a non-data scientist to actually go ahead and create these predictive scenarios, which gets me to where I think the main trend is happening, which is generative AI. And and that is generating not just text, which is a lot of things that we're experiencing so far, but generating assets like generating reports, generating predictive scenario data. Like back to that point is, can I use large language models and human language to actually just type out and ask the system to create a predictive forecast? Like that is now becoming the new trend, and that's what's making these otherwise complex AI technologies just easily accessible and consumerized for a non-data scientist to actually leverage it in day to day. If I use a simple example, for people that use Teams, and perhaps Teams Copilot, at the end of a meeting, Teams Copilot does such a great job at summarizing the entire meeting that this is what was talked about, and these are the action items. And people said, I will follow up with this. So this person, this action item, etc. That otherwise, if I'm in a Zoom, Teams meeting, whatever it might be, without that technology, I'm probably taking a lot of notes, and I might be missing certain things in that meeting, or someone else that didn't attend is just reliant on what little notes that I might have and piecing together information. So just that allows me to, in that meeting, not worry about note taking. Therefore, I'm spending more mental energy on doing something more strategic in nature, not tactical in nature. But now I have this beautiful Gen AI. It was a generated text based on AI technology using large language models. And where I see the future of that going is, if there were certain action items like, in a finance meeting, we need to create a trend analysis report for the marketing department because that was one of their asks to evaluate a certain initiative. Now, where I see the future going is you can now have Gen AI technology not generate that action, but actually generate that report. So that's where I think the future is going. But what gets me more excited is I just don't know, and I can't wait to find out. And the amount of energy and attention that's being put into this area now, I think we're going to see some brilliant solutions made in such a way where it's just non-technical in nature that solves a fundamental problem but you don't even know you're using AI technology. But we're at a level where we trust that technology and we remove the biases and we get that transparency. So all these things, I'm seeing a very strong momentum and movement in that direction, which is very, very exciting.
Yeah, yes, Rishi, I totally agree with you. Like the chat GPT, the LLM models, the usage of generative AI, at the advancements in the generative AI. So, and also Divya mentioned about the quantum computing in the beginning. So, all these, the AI revolution in the financial planning. So, this is not just a technological advancements. So, I believe it is a paradigm shift that is redefining how financial services are delivered and experienced. So, yeah, thank you, Rishi, and thank you, Divya, for your valuable insights.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, we hope our audience found this session informative and engaging. Stay tuned for more insightful conversations on Expert Edge, where we continue to bring you the latest trends and developments in the ICT domain. Thank you for joining us and see you next time. Thank you, guys.